Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We're going to embark on a dynamic, fast-paced journey through some of the most pivotal current affairs shaping India as of June 1, 2026. We are taking raw data, articles, and research and breaking it all down so you can see exactly what's happening and, more importantly, why it matters to us. From the shifting landscapes of grassroots welfare all the way to the literal stratosphere of scientific innovation, we have a completely fascinating lineup today. All right, let's dive right in. On the agenda today, first, we're looking at Kerala's geography and welfare. Then, we'll shift gears to strengthening national governance. And finally, we are pushing scientific boundaries. Let's get to it. Section 1, Kerala, Geography and Welfare. We're looking at stories of both environmental disaster and incredible human compassion. To get our mental gears turning right out of the gate, we're starting off at the state level. The Chaliyar River was recently all over the news. Do you know which state it flows through? Is it Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, or Telangana? Take a quick second to lock in your guess. Well, if you guessed B, Kerala, you nailed it. The Chaliyar River, which is also known as the Baipur River, is a major west-flowing river right there in the state. But, the reason it's been in the news lately is pretty heartbreaking. The incredibly devastating Wayanad landslides recently carried debris and, tragically, bodies downstream into this exact river. Because of that, the Chaliyar literally became ground zero for massive, urgent search and rescue operations. And this brilliantly illustrates the river's path, step by step. Step 1, it originates way up in the Alambalari hills of the Nilgiri Mountains. Step 2, it flows down, weaving right through the Wayanad, Malappuram, and Kozhikode districts. And that specific path? That's exactly why the landslide debris in Wayanad ended up in its waters. Finally, Step 3. It completes its journey by draining right into the Arabian Sea near Baipur. Mapping this out in our heads really helps us grasp the sheer logistical nightmare of those tragic recovery efforts. Okay, pivoting from disaster recovery, let's look at how this builds into a truly groundbreaking story of social welfare. I've got another quick question for you. Which state just became the absolute first in India to launch a dedicated senior citizens welfare department? Once again, it's Kerala. On May 20, 2026, Kerala officially launched this department, making it the very first state in the whole country to do so. Basically, under the newly formed United Democratic Front government, the responsibilities for elderly welfare were actively carved out of the broader social justice department. They gave these critical issues their own specialized, dedicated home. Now, what's absolutely crucial here is how it actually functions. This isn't just for show. It's fully backed by the Kerala Elderly Commission Bill. Plus, they've set up a state elderly commission with quasi-judicial powers, and that term, quasi-judicial, is a real game changer. It means this commission actually has the legal teeth to investigate and act to protect seniors from neglect, exploitation, and abuse. It is a massive structural step forward for protecting vulnerable folks. Moving on to Section 2, strengthening national governance. Let's talk about electoral frameworks. So, zooming way out from state welfare to the incredibly massive machinery that keeps the world's largest democracy ticking, let's test your knowledge again. Where was the National Conference of ECI Councils 2026 held? Was it New Delhi, Hyderabad, Chennai, or Bengaluru? If you said A, New Delhi, you are right on the money. The Election Commission of India hosted this massive national conference right in the capital, inaugurated by Ganesh Kumar. The explicitly stated goal here, to seriously strengthen the Election Commission's legal framework. I mean, given the sheer mind-boggling scale of Indian elections, making sure that legal foundation is absolutely rock solid is a total necessity. And in the context for why we need that framework, it all comes down to sheer volume. At the conference, the Chief Election Commissioner pointed to the massive scale of recent elections in Assam, Kerala, Puducherry, Tamil Nadu, and West Bengal. These states saw insanely high electoral participation and really intense contestation. Now, huge voter turnout is obviously fantastic for democracy, right? But it also heavily tests the legal and administrative limits of the ECI, pushing them to the brink. That is exactly why legal summits like this one in New Delhi are so incredibly vital. All right, on to Section 3, pushing scientific boundaries. It's time to look at some cutting-edge innovations. We are leaving earthly bureaucracy completely behind now and diving headfirst into the cutting edge. Quick question to kick this off. Which institute just developed a novel, light-driven nanocatalyst meant for cleaner chemical manufacturing? This is a huge leap forward for sustainable tech. Any guesses on who's behind it? The breakthrough actually came from the brilliant minds at the Institute of Nanoscience and Technology over in Mohali. They operate as an autonomous body under the Department of Science and Technology. Their whole mandate is to push the envelope when it comes to nanomaterials. And with this new energy-efficient catalyst, they're taking a direct swing at the massive environmental footprint of industrial chemical manufacturing. Now, what's really fascinating here is the chemistry itself. This catalyst is essentially a mix of gold nanoparticles, palladium nanoparticles, and a super-specific light-absorbing molecule called BODi. What this combo does is kind of mind-blowing. It literally uses light energy to accelerate chemical reactions. The benefits? Huge. By using light, factories can drastically cut down their reliance on toxic chemical solvents. They don't need to maintain those crazy extreme temperatures anymore, and overall energy use plummets. It is a textbook example of tiny tech solving giant industrial problems. Okay, from the microscopic world of nanocatalysts, let's look way, way up. Where was India's very first indigenous stratospheric superpressure balloon, named Vista, launched from? Was it Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, or Tamil Nadu? This is a literal landmark moment for Indian aerospace. This historic launch took place in Andhra Pradesh, more specifically right out of the Indira Gandhi Stadium. It went up under the banner of Mission Sana by Red Balloon Aerospace Private Limited. You know, designing and building a stratospheric superpressure balloon entirely in-house is an insanely complex engineering feat. The fact that they pulled it off from a stadium in Andhra Pradesh just goes to show how fast India's private aerospace sector is rocketing forward. 5. Yep, just 5. That is an incredibly small, highly exclusive number. Because of the successful launch of that Vista balloon, 5 is now the total number of countries on the entire planet that possess indigenous stratospheric balloon capabilities. India literally just walked into one of the most elite clubs in the world. And that exclusive club? It includes the USA, France, Japan, China, and now India. The specs on Vista are frankly staggering. This platform ascended to an altitude of roughly 25 kilometers above the Earth. To put that into perspective, your typical commercial airplane maxes out at about 10 kilometers, so 25 is way up there. Plus, it didn't just float up empty. It carried payloads from 7 different national and international partners. So India isn't just joining the club, right? They are immediately providing a highly viable, high-altitude platform for global scientific research. Wow, which brings us to the end of today's deep dive. Just take a second to think about the sheer scope of what we just covered in this explainer. We traced the tragic but absolutely vital geography of Kerala's Chaliyar River. We dug into real, legally binding protections for senior citizens. We looked at how the Election Commission is fortifying the world's biggest democracy. We broke down literal light-driven nanotechnology in Mohali. And we capped it off by riding a superpressure balloon 25 kilometers into the sky from Andhra Pradesh. These aren't just random, isolated facts, guys. They're the gears turning in real time, shaping our world from the riverbeds all the way up to the stratosphere. So I'll leave you with this question. What will tomorrow's headlines teach us? Keep that curiosity sharp, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.